That's how you do it. Hello, my friend, and welcome again to Paradise. The good news with Tabitha Christopher. I'm your host, Tabitha Christopher, where you know everything is always cool and irene. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. Your beginning was one that they would say was unorthodox. They probably would say that this child didn't have a chance to make it. But you showed them wrong. So let's start with McLaren Hall, for those that don't know what that is.
Well, you're absolutely right. My journey was never a journey that was just a straight path, as most people would see. My journey was that circle, that round, that U-turn, that spin. McLaren Hall was actually a place for kids that were neglected or abused. I came from a very young mother. She was 13 when she married my father. So I ended up in McLaren Hall with my brother and my sister. In fact, McLaren Hall is a place that has been closed down because of all the allegations that have been made with abuse. But it was a place for children that were neglected and they were abused by family, obviously. So it was probably one of those places that I don't think most people have ever heard of. It's something that you'd have to look up because, again, it's been closed down.
What about your mother?
My mother was 13 years old when she married my father, so she was a very young mom. She didn't know any better. So ultimately, some of the choices that she made were probably not one as a parent that I would make, but ultimately, I do know that that's all she knew.
Right.
She was a child herself, raising 3 children on her own.
How did you transition from there to high school?
High school, oh my goodness. Well, education was not a big deal. Growing up, old school Italian family, it was not a priority. In fact, I ended up dropping out in 10th grade. I had a hard time focusing. I had, probably in those days would be ADD, ADHD. It was not something that people really talked about. I had a hard time focusing, so I never showed up. I would ditch every day. And then when I'd finally go into school, I would actually pass. And the teachers were saying, if only you can apply yourself. But it was hard because here I am, this kid that wasn't able to focus and my mind was all over the place. I didn't have the guidance at home. I didn't have anyone that would motivate me or inspire me to do anything more.
So who was it or what moment was it that you found out? I want to know about the transition from being a high school dropout to being a successful businesswoman. How did that happen? What was the transition in that?
I always knew somebody was with me. I just didn't know who it was. I felt a presence. I always knew I was not alone. And so I ended up marrying law enforcement. My husband was a police officer, retired police officer, and he was injured on the job. And I was worried that, God forbid anything would happen, what we would do financially. And so I got into real estate, and I passed the course immediately, or the first time actually. Most people would say, oh, it's a very hard test, you're not going to pass, but I did pass the first time, and actually became probably one of the most successful agents in real estate at the time.
Incredible. How old were you at that time?
Gosh, I would say I was in my 30s, early 30s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. So from there, you said that God told you something. When he told you to take care of his children, were you happy with what you were doing at that time? Did you feel like you were being fulfilled in your mission? You were successful, great family, but you felt that there was something more, even though everything seemed to be going great?
Well, in the worldly terms, people would say I was successful financially. I was financially, I was doing extremely well. But it was not that happiness, that fulfillment that most people would say. Because ultimately, yes, you can buy so many things, but it really wasn't where I was passionate. I noticed that I was very angry and frustrated and less time with my family, because ultimately it was a profession that required me to be away from them so much. And so I actually fell into a different sort of business than I had. It was just, I happened to fall into. I never knew why. I became actually an investor in a gymnastics facility.
Wow.
Something that at the time I knew nothing about. So it was just, I figured I would invest initially, and if I can afford to initially invest and lose it, I would be okay with that.
Right.
And so I ended up with, it was at the time I had 4 partners. But everybody had a different vision. They all had a different way or different way they wanted to do things. And it just did not work out with the 4 of us. So somebody had to buy the other out in order to make it happen. And so I was the only one financially capable of doing so at the time. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. I had to buy everybody out. But little did I know that my life was going to change drastically.
How so?
I had to learn a sport that I knew nothing about, so I educated myself with some of the best coaches in the world. I figured if I was going to do it, I needed to really understand what I was doing. I educated myself in the sport. I taught classes. I did the front office, the back office, customer service, you name it. I did everything. And what was amazing to me is how I saw it transform children's lives. I saw their self-esteem change. I saw that it brought a kid that would otherwise, not physically active, and I saw the way it changed when they were able to do something. So I was so excited about that. I was excited to see them come in and learn different skills and just feel like they've conquered the world. It was one of those things that was something that surprisingly was so close to my heart.
And
I felt empowering.
Was that when Platinum Sports Center, was that birthed at that point, or was that later on?
It was later on, a little bit later on.
Okay.
So it was difficult to run a business by myself. It was very difficult for me to teach and to run the business. So financially, things started to get a little difficult because I had to teach all the classes. I didn't know where to find the staff. I did what I could. All my classes were full, but again, I did not have the ability to teach everything and do everything myself. And I'll never forget, I was so frustrated, and I sat in the gym and I cried and I was so emotional, and I asked God, why? Why did you put me in a place I knew nothing about? It was something that brought me to my knees, because it was one of those things that here I was, financially successful and a very capable woman, could travel, buy anything I wanted, and now I'm in a place I know nothing about, trying to educate myself, trying to figure out why I was here. And
would you say he put you in that position because
absolutely.
He wanted you to rely less on you?
Absolutely. It was, I asked him why, and the only thing I heard was, take care of my children. It was the thing that changed my life, because I always was passionate about children. Ever since I can remember, I had this gift. I connected with them, any child. There was just a connection. It was almost that they can see me. You can feel that warmth. It's like an animal, a dog. They sense when they have someone who loves animals. Well, when you see a kid around me, you can see that that's what happens. It's instantly, it's something unexplainable.
So from this gymnastics club that you had,
yes.
You then opened Platinum Sports Center.
Yes.
Then you were also part of Rotary Club, Yes program,
yes.
Boys and Girls Club of America. You were doing a lot of things all over this country and helping a lot of kids.
Yes.
Okay, so in that, what would you attribute your successes to?
The Lord. He's never left my side. That person, that being that I never knew who was, it was always him. That whisper, that touch. He is so obvious, and he's so literal.
Yeah.
And that whisper that everybody talks about is him, and he's always guided me. And there was so many times where I didn't understand, but over the years, through the children, through my life, I've seen he's never left me. He's never, ever. And when he told me, from that moment he told me to take care of my children, I knew that was my purpose in life.
There it is. There it is. Would you, I really would love for you to speak into someone's life right now that are in a position of where they don't know what they want to do. And that could be any stage in life. They may have come to where you've been, where you are, successful, but yet still not fulfilled. They may not even have started. They're probably a young person, and they feel as though, okay, everyone's given up on me. Why should I not give up on myself? That person, you've been all these different ones, so you would be perfect to speak into their life right where they are. So would you please encourage them?
Yes. It's not about the money. It's about finding your purpose, your passion, your love. I believe that if the Lord intended us to be selfish human beings, He would have put us on this planet alone. I believe we are here for each other. And I believe my plan was to take care of His children. And I pray that each and every one of you find that gift within. It's not about the money, because the money will fulfill you for a short time. You'll try to find that you'll try to fill that void from inside with something, with someone, but it's not about that. It's finding your purpose and finding why God's plan is not about the things. It's about why we were, sorry.
Oh, okay.
All right. It's about putting your trust in Him and knowing He knows better.
Incredible. Incredible. And my friends, I know that you were able to see and feel her heart through that screen. And take every word that she said with a grain of salt and know that the truth that she spoke is one from above who loves you greatly. And I want to thank you, Dorina, for the work that you continue to do.
Thank you.
For so many people all over, here locally and abroad. And your life is blessed because of your being a blessing to other people. So just thank you very much for that. I want you to take time with a family member or friend and do something good for one another. And if you are by yourself, if you're a single person, I want you to go out and find someone to do good for them. Be a blessing. Be a blessing. Thank you so much once again for joining us here at Paradise with the Good News with Tabitha Christopher. And I look forward to seeing you again next time.